Hi, I'm back. It's Marc here. Today, quite a different video, actually almost more of a slideshow. There are a few video clips in there as well though. But this is about an experience that I really didn't want to just have an ordinary video for. This is about going to the Fat Duck over in Bray, which is just around the corner from here. And it was one amazing evening. We ate for about 5.5 hours and it was mind-blowing. But before we get into the details of it, one thing to be aware of is that you can't arrive early at the Fat Duck to have a quick drink. Normally they suggest on their webpage to go to the Heinz Head, which is literally next door and is, I believe, also belongs to Heston Blumenthal. However, when we went, that was closed for refurbishment. But that's not really a problem because there's a pub just down the road, not even 2 minutes walk, called The Crown. Beautiful little pub. Just helps if you are aware if the Heinz Head is still closed or not. So do your research, really pays off. It is a lovely evening any which way. So now let's get to the experience. The experience is based on a trip down memory lane for Heston Blumenthal, his childhood memories. But the important thing when you start to book that experience is they do send you a questionnaire, they phone you to find more about you and your guests. Take that seriously because they really try to personalize it. Yes, it's based on Heston's childhood memories, but they are very, very keen to make this your experience as well. And you'll see that when we get through the pictures. Make sure you are really open and tell them who you are and what you like. It's really worth it. It starts with what they call a change of air. And if you've done a little bit of research about Heston Blumenthal, you probably have heard about the nitro poached green tea thing. It's based on that, but it's individual cocktails. They even have some without alcohol for children. And now, as you can see with the faces here, it doesn't matter how well prepared you think you are, it just blows your mind. So after this cocktail, you get this little nugget, and that is a aerated beetroot macaroon. I've never tasted anything like that. The next part is called Just the Tonic We Need. It's based on having a gin and tonic, but as a meal. And, it is just extraordinary. Even the children get a glass that looks like a gin. It's just the aromatics of a gin. But even for them, it was extraordinary. And, we as grown-ups, we actually got some beautiful gin to go with it. And the flavors that you see in this bowl are just out of this world. The next bit is about the start of the day. We'll go into the seaside. And it starts with having a tea or a coffee. And they come round and ask you whether you prefer tea or coffee. And it is absolutely amazing. This glass, you can probably see a bit of a line there. On the one side it's hot and on the other one it's cold. Absolutely brilliant. Obviously you need to drink it quickly, otherwise they might start to mix, but quite interesting. Really challenges all your perceptions. Well, the next course is called Why Do I Have to Choose Between a Variety Pack and a Cooked Breakfast? You get these little packs, and in there's a little toy, which is a little money box that you need to keep for later use. And then they bring you something that looks like a bowl of milk, and the variety pack is full of something that looks like cereal. But it's not called Why Do I Have to Choose Between the Variety Pack and a Cooked Breakfast for a Laugh. It actually tastes like a proper cooked breakfast. Delicious. Next was Sound of the Sea. And, I don't think that a meal at Heston's would be complete without this iPod in this beautiful shell, which gives you the sounds of the sea while you're eating seafood. And it really transports you to the seaside. So the first dish of the seaside trio is this beautiful impression of the sea hitting the shore. Well, the next one I nearly forgot to take a picture of. Actually, no, that's a lie. I did forget to take a picture of that. But when I told them that, silly me, I forgot to take a picture, they quickly brought me another one. Which is kind of the kind of service you get there. It's just amazing. And obviously I had to then eat that as well, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And then next came a rocket and a twister. Really a Waldorf salad and salmon with avocado and horseradish. And then came the rock pool. This beautiful crab just dissolved as you poured over the bisque. And it didn't just look stunning, it really was. There was one minor little problem, and problems happen anywhere. The question is how you deal with them. There was one minuscule bit of shell in there, and how they dealt with that, I'll tell you later. And next was damping through the Borogroves, which is something that looks like a log of wood with mushroomy flavors. Absolutely stunning. One of the ingredients is a mushroom powder, and I mentioned to our storyteller, they don't have waitresses there or waiters, it's a storyteller, and they are really, really good. And I mentioned to her that I do a mushroom powder which was inspired by Heston, but I couldn't quite find the recipe anymore. So what I got at the end of the menu was a personalized printout of the log recipe. That's just the kind of service you get. And I can't praise those storytellers enough. They really do their homework. They know what they're talking about. They have taken in all the information about you and your guests, and they really make it your evening. And if you're still watching, then you're probably starting to wonder, when does the mock turtle picnic start? Well, that was next. And I find the idea so fascinating that I've done my own little version of it. It's actually now our Christmas dinner starter soup. Clearly not as refined as Heston's, but it was clearly miles above what I can muster. But I think Heston would appreciate that it is a good thing to take his ideas and see what you can do with them at home. And if you think that you've been having your dinner up to now, well, you weren't. The dinner is next. A beautiful menu. As you might remember, I said earlier that there was a minuscule problem with the crab dish. And in order to make good for that, they suggested that we just shouldn't have to choose between the two desserts, and that we should just have both of them. That certainly strung a chord with the kids. Well, and the grown-ups. But before we even started with the starter, and this comes back to you needing to tell them who you are and what you like and what you are about. One of the things that I told the researchers was that I actually did the red cabbage gazpacho with mustard ice cream for the kids in the past, and that they had thirds. Well, that actually isn't on the menu anymore, but that didn't matter. Before we went to the starters, they did this course just for us, and when the kids screamed out, "Wow, this is just like when you did it," well, I was delighted, they were delighted, staff were delighted. I have to say, mine didn't even touch the level of perfection. So here you see how it's been assembled. Go. When I made this at home, the children went for thirds. So we had a table of 6. So therefore, we made sure that we have one of each of the options. So here you can see the prawn cocktail, which actually didn't have a prawn inside. It was a lobster cocktail. Absolutely stunning. And well, my son and I, we both had the veal sweetbread, and it just melted in your mouth. For the main, I had the roast turbot with caviar, which came with this little toast. I don't know how to describe this. It looks like a almost normal roast turbot, and the flavors are just so multi-layered you would not believe it. Now, I can't personally comment on the coq au vin, but it certainly doesn't look like the average coq au vin. And the faces of the rest of the gang, well, they were saying this is out of this world. And look at the little collection of compliments. So now to our two desserts. This is the Galette of Rhubarb, and perhaps you're better than me, but I can't even pronounce this properly, so I'm not even gonna try. But it was based on beautiful grapes, and it just tasted out of this world. There were so many different textures, flavors, experiences with every single bit that you can see on this plate. Now, I've been doing a bit of research on Heston, and I've been trying his recipes, as you probably can figure out, where I can, which is quite difficult. I've not even dared to touch the whiskey gums, and I'm really glad I didn't, because I can't see how in a private kitchen you could get this intensity of flavor. These gums really, 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 really taste like the whiskey they are representing. Well, and what do you do at the end of an eventful day? You start to think about going to sleep. So here we are for counting the sheep with a rather bizarre fluffy spoon. And then came this.
I must tell you that for Heston, bedtime was always the worst moment of his day. So he decided, since he's putting you in bed, he might as well make it a little sweet, a little lighter, almost floating.
It is.
It is, yeah.
It's a levitation device.
Well, you know what? Have them arranged that is on top, and then I'll tell you how it works.
This clearly was the first floating dessert I've ever had. The whole experience was rather bizarre, but that's what you expect when you go to the Fat Duck, right? It tasted like Johnson & Johnson baby products. It just was utterly bizarre. Perhaps not completely up my street, but you do need to allow yourself to be challenged, right? And last not least, it's like a kid in a sweet shop. Well, the whole dinner was for my wife's birthday. And one of the questions they asked me was, what sweets does she remember and favor from her childhood? Now, thankfully, I knew the answer to that. If you don't, if you do something similar, do your research before you talk to them. But my wife loved those UFOs and the strawberry laces. So there was a bowl of that to get you into the mood. And, you know, I was talking about the money box earlier, where you got a penny. And that penny was then given to your storyteller, who inserted it into this contraption.
Apricot tart for you, madam.
You're then given this paper bag with a half a bowl, which looks super shiny on the one side and looks like Aero chocolate on the other, and tastes like a Jaffa cake. Then you have a bit of a chocolate bar, which is called Ox Choc, which actually includes, believe it or not, Wagyu beef consomme. A rather bizarre flavor, and you think chocolate and beef shouldn't work, but well, it does. It's really, really interesting. And then you get a little envelope with the Queen of Hearts. Boy, you couldn't miss the Queen of Hearts when you talk about Mad Hatter, can you? And then there is this beautiful sweet, which is I can only describe it as an apple pie caramel with an edible wrapper around it. I've actually tried these edible wrappers at home, and well, if you managed to make them work, you're better than me. Mine were rubbish. This was not. And all in all, we sat there for about 5.5 hours eating, and the time just flew by. I have to say, I was also very, very proud of my children. We started at 7, and it was midnight midnight when we left the Fat Duck, and they really did not let us down. So, kids, if you're watching this, thank you. And to everybody else, if you do get a chance to go to the Fat Duck, jump on it. It is an experience of a lifetime. Just leave any preconceived ideas about meat and 2 veg at home. Nothing that you know about food really works there. But the food you're getting most certainly does work. It is mind-blowing. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll put a few links to the bits of my food blog that I've done with Heston recipes. Hope you like this. See you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.